Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Fifer, served up by Wendy's on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is time again. How you looking? How you doing? How you feeling on a Thursday? It's been a day. It's been a day already. Already been rolling around. Started off the day doing the Mason Crosby Show, presented to you by Verizon. It was Tommy Wirtz, myself, Thunder off until next Wednesday. And then Thunder will be filling in on this show next Wednesday as well. And then I'll be doing Mason's show tomorrow, Monday, and Tuesday with Mason. Crosby comes back tomorrow. He just had the day off today. They're showing the Bob Uecker umbrella on TV right now. That is the umbrella giveaway Saturday night. Going to the game Saturday night with the family to get the Uecker umbrella. Very happy. And I know, what's the big deal? It's a freaking umbrella. I understand, but trust me, when going out to watch youth baseball, umbrellas come in handy to block you from the sun. Umbrellas come in handy to block you from the rain. Umbrellas come in handy to catch baseballs. Like, there's lots of different uses for an umbrella, Charlie.
Yeah, there is. Also sounds like you're just a wimp. Just manning up, sit in the sun, sit in the rain,
Nope. Sunburn and me do not get along. It is not a thing. I do not handle it well. I blister real easily from bad sunburns. Not a good thing for me at all when it comes to that. Let's get into what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, we're going to talk about the Green Bay Packers, right? Matt LaFleur talked before practice today. Then at 2:20, we have to talk about training camp practice today and fights. Oh my goodness gracious. Like, I could not believe the video that I saw. Because first I read it off Andy Herman's Twitter. Oh, there's fights. And then there's video popping up on social media. You're like, oh no, those are real fights. Like, not two people, like the entire team fighting the other entire team on the field. Kay Adams is there from Up and Adams, her show that she does. Didn't you tell me that she said it was the biggest training camp practice fight she had seen?
Yeah, she just tweeted out largest training camp fight ever. Just that.
Wonderful. So we'll get into that coming up at 2:20. Bill Bender from the Sporting News, senior writer over there, covers college, covers the NFL. We're going to talk about the college football season coming up. I want to get his thoughts on the Big Ten. Obviously, a little bit of the Badgers, but they're going to stink. So it's not going to be that much Badgers. And I want to get his thoughts on all of this playoff talk and expansion and what the Big Ten wants to do with their own playoff outside of the top two teams, where they want to have 6 teams in their own Big Ten playoff prior to bowl season, and get his thoughts on that too. So we'll do that coming up at 2:40. David Coleman, Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel Motorsports beat writer, the IndyCar series coming to the Milwaukee Mile. We'll get his thoughts on that. Plus, longtime track owner in NASCAR, Humpy Wheeler, passed away. We'll get his thoughts on Humpy Wheeler as well. That comes up at 3:20. In between all of that at 3 o'clock, Michael Pena of The Ringer. I shouldn't call him names, but boy, if this was satellite radio, I'd have a few choice swear words for him right now. You've got to be kidding me with some of the crap I read from him. So we'll jump into that. I mean, he absolutely, like, if you read that, you would think that there's a personal vendetta against John Horst. Like, there's some beef between him and Horst or something for what he wrote about the Milwaukee Bucks. That's at 3 o'clock. So, and then of course, once the Brewers game is done, Brewers up 2-0 right now at Wrigley. If you don't know how it got to 2-0, well, by all means.
2-0 is the count. And Terang, that's on the barrel. That is way back. Goodbye. Bryce Terang keeps it going. A 2-run home run. And the Brewers are on the board. A wind-defying home run for Bryce Terang. Wow. His 8th of the month.
But we're going to bat him 7 because, wow, they're facing a left-handed pitcher, Sparky. They got to bat him 7. Man, he's like the hottest hitter in this freaking lineup right now. He should be batting. Take Collins, move him to the bottom of the order. Take Terang, move him up. When Collins gets going again, whenever that is, then you can move him back up in the order. And if Turang slows down, you can slide him back down in the order. The goal of building a lineup, as we talked about with Andrew Wagner earlier today on the Mason Crosby show when I filled in, is to get the best guys the most at-bats, right? So your best hitters hit towards the top, the worst hitters hit towards the bottom. The difference in at-bats at the end of the year is probably 60, 70 at-bats at least, maybe more than that. Why not get the guy that's on fire up in the lineup to get more at-bats, and the guy that's struggling, move him down until he finds his groove, Charlie?
I think it's because you can get a Bryce Train to a two-run home run in that bottom half of that lineup when you feel like maybe some of the guys surrounding him won't. If they're doing a little bit of like a sandwich lineup here where it's Andrew Vaughn, who's been super hot, and then Caleb Durbin, who's been not as hot, but okay, and then Bryce Train, who's been super hot, and then Brandon Lockridge, who hasn't been as great, and then Joey Ortiz, who's been in a lot of runners and scoring position situations lately. Yeah. I mean, these are all, like, in my opinion, I think good ideas to help spread out the strength of your lineup throughout all of it. That's how the Brewers have won games this season, is by spreading out the strengths and finding guys to pick it up where other guys are lacking. And if you keep Bryce Train down in that bottom half of the lineup, I don't think that's saying anything about his ability, but more so that he's helping out getting the other guys around him going.
Oh, I will get to Matt LaFleur here in 2 seconds, but one other thing I want to complain about that I complained about earlier today. I figure if I could get on every show and complain about it every day for like through next Tuesday, then I go on vacation and I'm gone the rest of the week. But Anthony Siegler should not be playing. Sorry. Caleb Durbin should be playing every day. Again, I don't care if it's a lefty. I don't care if it's a righty. I don't care if they have three arms and they throw with all three of them. I want him playing over Siegler at this point. He's the better player. End of story. But either way, so 2-0. Brewers up right there. That highlight courtesy of FanDuel Sports Network, Wisconsin. All right, let's hear from Matt LaFleur. Now, this is before the practice today. This is before all the fights broke out today. We'll get into all that and what all happened coming up in the second segment of the hour. And again, don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube. Our dugout over there, chatting it up in the dugout. They were chatting up earlier today as well in the YouTube chat. We nicknamed it the dugout yesterday. Anton came up with the nickname, so I'm just going to roll with it. So if you're on YouTube chatting away with others, we're calling that the dugout. So we will check out that as well. You can also tweet at us, Facebook us at The Fan Milwaukee, record a voice message and sound off on the Odyssey app. My guy, Tom the Painter, mad at me yesterday because, again, 2 days in a row, I did not play his sound off message. Like, Sparky, you keep telling us to do it, and then you never actually play the thing. So, I'm sorry. Charlie will remind me we will play it. In fact, play it. Let's play it right now. You have it? All right. So before we get to Matt LaFleur, this was the other day when we were talking about Jordan Morgan going up against Rasheed Walker in left tackle. And I am just besides myself because Rasheed Walker should be the left tackle. This shouldn't be up for debate. But apparently it is. And it feels like they want Jordan Morgan to have that spot regardless of what Rasheed Walker looks like. This is what Painter Tom has said.
Hey, Sparky, this is Teacher Tom. I said 1 week of painting left, and then I go back to teaching next week. Hey, so yesterday you were talking about the offensive line with Jordan Morgan and Anthony Belton, and a couple of thoughts on those. One is I understand the reasoning why you say Anthony Belton won't be starting this year, but could be the top backup at 3 and 4 positions. But why can't Belton start over Sean Ryan? You know, Ryan's probably the weak link of the group. He's a decent, capable guy, but I'd love to see that Belton is better right away this year and can move Ryan to the bench because that would improve the line if Belton is better.
Good one. That's how it's done. Real nice and easy. You go on the Odyssey app. You put the send voice message or whatever. It pops up a box. You hit record, put your name, where you're from, hit send, and it's it. That's it. It's that simple. Like literally that simple to do. And you can send it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, sound off with a recorded voice message like Tom did. I agree with you. Belton could start at right guard over Sean Ryan. The reason why I don't think he's going to start there is because they really have been working him at tackle in camp. That's kind of where they've been working him. He has played a little bit of guard as well. I think he moved over to guard this last preseason game as well after he was at tackle. If memory serves correct. But anyways, Yes, I would be all for Belton being the right guard and Zach Tom being the right tackle. Like, if that's the route they want to go, I would fully support that if they think he's a better option than Sean Ryan. Last year, when they realized Jordan Morgan was not ready to play left tackle, where did Jordan Morgan rotate into? Sean Ryan and right guard. Like, that's the guy. The only reason Jordan Morgan isn't going back to right guard is because Rasheed Walker's in the last year of his deal, and they want to make sure left tackle is taken care of after Rasheed Walker going forward, and they need to figure that out, and that's why I think he's going to end up stealing that job, Charlie.
Probably. And I think the other thing we have to look at with Sean Ryan here is that currently he's on the last year of a $1.3 million year deal. I mean, if you have somebody that cheap who is still playing at an above serviceable level for you, and you have a rookie like Anthony Belton or a younger player like Jordan Morgan, who obviously the Packers do not want to pay a lot of money to, if they come into their rookie season or their second season and they play really well right away, that means the money is going to jump up a lot more. I think if you rotate them in with Sean Ryan or just let Sean Ryan start, you can subverse those expectations a little bit longer and wait until it's about 2 years out from a due deal for those players to start. And now they only have 2 years of history on their resume to pay them on.
Right.
It saves the Packers a lot of money, and Sean Ryan's a pretty dang good player still.
That's a great way. It's a great observation as far as how this could go or should go kind of going forward for the Green Bay Packers. So just like Tom did there, you can record and sound off with a voice message on the Odyssey app. Again, make sure you're on the fan, right? Because, I mean, if you sound off and you're on a different sports station, like if you're on the Score in Chicago and you sound off about the Packers, like, what is this nonsense that they're doing, right?
They might put you on.
Yeah, no. So we want you to sound off on the fan, right? So search the Fan Milwaukee on your Odyssey app, and you'll be able to sound off there. Here's a little bit of Matt LaFleur. I'm not going to play a ton of this. Here's a little bit of Matt LaFleur from earlier today, before practice, before all the fights that broke out.
He was talking about sort of the bigger picture now, because you talk about, decision-making on that specific type of throw. Like, he's thinking also bigger picture, right? Minimize mistakes on the season, live up, and maximize splash plays. So I don't know, it just seemed like that one throw can also be kind of emblematic of where he wants to get better. Are you steering him that way in the bigger picture too?
Yeah, I mean, we're always steering them to read with his feet and throw on the timing and the rhythm of the passing game is absolutely critical. But like I said, every situation is going to be a little bit different. There's going to be times, the example I just gave, I mean, when you got a free play, you're going to throw it up. So, I mean, you don't have to be cautious at all, but certainly there's some situations, more, I would say, especially situationally, when you want a quarterback to play a little less risky, like when we're down in the red area and, you got points. I don't necessarily care to see him forcing throws and the ball gets picked off or something like that. So, yeah, it's all dependent upon the situation and the play and what kind of presents itself from a defensive standpoint.
Matt, I know you're not terribly fond of the 7-on-7, but what is Jordan getting out of that and the guys around him as well?
Yeah, I mean, when you better adapt to your situations. I appreciate Mike allowing us to add that extra period in there to give our quarterback some opportunity to get some reps. And what I told him is there's 12 reps scripted, take as many as you can. And if you need a break, we'll get somebody else in there.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. What will we see in today's practice that might be unique that you and Mike worked out for this trip?
I wouldn't say that's anything. We're not revolutionizing the practice. It's going to be a lot of how we typically go against even our own guys. So you'll have a team run play pass period, which is your early downs. We have a third down period, which I think there's a lot of value in that. Hopefully they give us some challenging looks from a defensive perspective. And well, I mean, really both sides of the ball. That's what you'd like to see, and see how your guys react to some unscouted looks that really test your rules. We got the 7-on-7 red zone period. We'll have another team red zone period. We'll have a move the ball period, and we'll finish with a 2-minute to end practice.
Do you do all your stuff in this setting because it's only one team that'll have tape of it, or do you still have to?
I think we all kind of operate that under the idea that whatever you put out there today could end up anywhere in the universe, especially, I mean, training camp, these open camps. I mean, I know you guys can't necessarily shoot. I mean, he runs a tight ship down there. So, but there's a lot of footage that gets out there, you know, from fans and whatnot from across the league. So I just think it's, you run your stuff, the things that you think you need to get better at. And I'm a little less concerned and a little less paranoid than probably I was a few years back. And in regards, we've got a lot of tape. We've got years and years of tape out there for everybody to see. And so you got to kind of predict on how we may, especially from an offensive perspective, attack you. Now, defensively, we're still relatively young in our system. I mean, we got a year's worth of tape and certainly have added some wrinkles that we probably will be a little less likely to show. So,
can Hopper play all the positions at linebacker? I mean, he spent a lot of time in the middle in his 2 years here. Is he diversified enough?
Yeah, I think you do that to try to get a guy up to speed and make him proficient in one area. But the more experience they get, the more knowledge that they have with the defense, the more time you have to teach them the different techniques that they're going to have to go out there and execute, the more comfortable you feel with them, you know, in those other positions, whether it's the Will or the Sam.
All right, there is Matt LaFleur from earlier today. It's interesting how time after time, year after year, decade after decade that passed, and this paranoia that exists among coaches simply never, ever stops. And Vince Lombardi, he was worried the Bears were spying on him all over the place. George Halas was worried the Packers were spying on him. All of that stuff has been going on forever. They didn't even have social media back then. Could you imagine? Oh, my goodness. Somebody would be like, we're having no open practices. Everything's inside. And I'm under the National Guard surrounding the Don-Hudson Center to make sure nobody gets in. Like, that's how crazy it would be back then if there was social media. And now, like Matt said, which, again, this goes back to what I've said forever. It is so beyond stupid that you're telling me that, oh, the writers can't shoot stuff. Cool. The writers can't shoot video. But every Tom, Dick, and Harry sitting in the stands over there can shoot video and then post it. And then what do you think happens? Then the writers see video and they retweet it. Boop, there's your video. I didn't shoot it. You can't control what I retweet and can't retweet. Boom, I retweeted. And then the thing goes viral. But you feel good about yourself because you wouldn't let the writer shoot video. It's just nonsense. It's completely nonsense. The whole thing. Listen, if you run your stuff good, you're going to win. If you don't run your stuff well, you're going to lose. It's just that simple. You give me a football team that is technically sound and doesn't make mistakes in the stuff they run, they're going to win a lot of football games, regardless of what people have out there from training camp.
Exactly. And I think when you talk about all these great coaches being so paranoid about people spying on them, maybe that's because they're probably spying on other people too.
Could be.
Look at Bill Belichick, one of the greatest coaches of all time, got caught up in a couple different Spygate scandals. Yeah. It happened. I think there's a lot of other great coaches that probably have other ways of spying. Let's also remember that this is a sport. It's a game. I know that you can be worried about your game plan and the security of your job, but to your point, if you can just run your stuff well, most teams, even if they're well prepared, still can't find a way to stop you. You can find other ways to do film install. All these teams have film on you from the national games that you are playing all the time, and you're not really running anything that different in practice. Like, just give it up. Just go and play football. Be more focused on that. And right now, I think sometimes the Green Bay Packers, what we saw last season a lot, is they're more focused on the X's and O's and trying to get an upper hand on another team versus just playing football.
How was it for you with high school and college? I mean, obviously your college team didn't win games. But what about crazy Jed Kennedy, my boy, who I love to death? How psychotic was he with all this stuff?
I mean, he wasn't like spying on other teams.
No, but I'm saying, was he worried about other teams spying on him?
Not really. Not all that much. I mean, if you know Coach Kennedy, he's a guy that is like unapologetically himself, and he'll go out there and just show you who he is.
And exuding confidence all day long.
He did not care about who was watching us. We would go watch other teams 2 weeks before we would play them, play other schools. And that would be the extent of that. He's not out there spying. He's doing everything right. And I think he just believed that everybody else was.
Did
It doesn't matter.
We
would win.
That kid in the Little League World Series was telling the hitters what he was throwing before he was throwing it.
That's some confidence, man. Could get you in trouble at some time. But, I mean, if you're good enough, you're good enough.
I'm telling you, you would have done that stuff back when I was coming up. You would have got drilled by the next time you came up to hit.
Get a couple Victor Robles out there throwing bats at you.
That pitcher who was ever facing you when you were doing what you were doing, you were going to get hit by a ball. Don't know where the ball is going to hit you, but you would have got hit in my age, because there's no way anybody back in my day was putting up with that nonsense like that. There is no chance. By the way, Victor Robles, did you see what his suspension was?
10 games.
What an absolute joke that is. That dude should have been kicked out for the rest of this year and the first half of next year to set a standard. 10 games, that's not going to stop anybody from whipping a bat at somebody.
Well, and not even just that, is he's been in the MLB for a long time now. Like, this is a rehab stint for him. He's an MLB caliber player, and he's doing this against kids basically that are all trying to make their dreams come true. Like, come on, dude, grow up a little bit.
Absolutely right. All right, so there was Matt LaFleur's presser from earlier today. Don't forget, Football Talk on the Fan. It's presented by Paramount Plus. You can't count on much these days, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Watch your local NFL game live every Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus all season long. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. And again, Packers, Seahawks fighting during their joint practice today. We'll give you more on that and what all went down. And did the offense look any better today for the Packers than it did, I don't know, the rest of training camp? Today, officially, by the way, the last day of training camp, officially. We'll get to that coming up next. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM at 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Time for your fan weather forecast. 76 degrees, partly cloudy skies right now, a high of 77, low of 59 tonight. Welcome in. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Steve Sparky Fifer with you. Charlie using other side of the glass. The meal of misfortune, devised by Wednesday Adams, is available now at Wendy's, where you must surrender to your fate. It comes with rest and test piece nugs, small Kirsten crispy fries, and a small Raven's Blood Frosty, and of course, 2 of 4 mysterious dips of dread to up the torment. In Wednesday's words, it's pure torture and tribute to the suffering that awaits us all. From the dips of dread, and the best part is, you never know which you'll get. Each uniquely insufferable in its own torturous way. It's got to be Wendy's. Watch Wednesday Season 2 only on Netflix. Available for limited time only at participating U.S. Wendy's while supplies last. Brewers are up 2-0 on a Bryce Terang home run. Bottom of 4 right now. Priester versus Imanaga, your pitching matchup. Once that one is done, we'll go into our quick little post game here on Wisconsin Sports Daily when that one is over. Bill Bender, sporting news senior writer, coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. We'll talk to him about college football, the Badgers, the Big Ten, all of these crazy ideas that they have in the Big Ten of how they want the postseason to look, not only for everybody else, but also a 16 playoff for themselves as well, or a playoff-like system for the Big Ten when the season is over. So lots to get into with him coming up about 2:40 or so. Time now to do something we normally do at 4, but the Brewer game is going to be done at 4, so we're going to do it here.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on 1250 AM and 105.7 FM The Fan with Steve Sparky Fifer.
We'll also tell you we have added in to the show lineup from what we started with at 2 o'clock. Andy Herman from the Pack-A-Day radio show, Pack-A-Day podcast. He will join us coming up at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock, we'll talk with Andy Herman. And the reason I was desperately trying to get Andy Herman was he was there. He was on the sidelines when all these fights broke out at training camp practice today. Now, some of the guys that were involved, Zach Tom, Elton Jenkins, Tucker Kraft, these dudes were involved. Now, I don't know if they were the instigators, the initiators necessarily, because the video that we see, it's a bunch of dudes all just scrumming around with each other, fights breaking out everywhere. Then at one point, LaFleur pulls Jenkins and Tom off the field, says, "You're done." Belton goes out there, and then he gets into a fight, and he starts throwing punches. I would not want to throw punches with Belton. You could give me a lot of options in life, but I am choosing not to get punched in the face or the helmet or anywhere else on my body by Belton. That dude is gigantic.
Usually people named Escalade, I try to avoid.
At all costs.
Yeah. I'm sure he's a nice guy outside of football, just on the football field. Do not want to be involved with him.
Not interested at all in being involved in that whatsoever. You ever involved in fights back in the day, high school, college, or otherwise? And were you the one starting or ending them?
Usually I was not the instigator. I liked to be the person that would come in second, because then you can't really get in trouble that much. Yeah, I got into a decent amount of fights in high school. Being at Brookfield Central, Brookfield East didn't like us very much. Marquette didn't like us very much. Menominee Falls didn't like us very much. So all those teams, we usually got into at least some kind of scuffle during those games. And in college, like sometimes there's just games where you're just so frustrated with how bad you're getting beat. Like a team like North Central, who's multiple-time national champions at the Division III level, just in case you didn't know. Yeah, sometimes those guys would be a little mean to our players who aren't the best, and you got to go take care of business a little bit.
Take care of business. I feel like the offensive linemen and defensive linemen are always the reasons why these fights occur. I would say 9 out of every 10 times the reason a fight occurs is because of something that's happening in the trenches.
You are sorely mistaken, Sparky. It's usually because the wide receiver or quarterback likes to run his mouth, or the cornerback likes to run his mouth, and the defensive and offensive linemen have to go defend the little guys.
Really?
Yeah, every time. Sometimes the offensive defensive linemen get into it, but it's usually just between those two guys. Whenever you see a big brawl starting, it's usually because somebody else started to run their mouth a little bit.
All right, let's talk about the practice today. A couple of things that I took away from the practice today. Number one, Malik Willis had a good day. Played well, threw the ball well. Matthew Golden, for the most part, had a pretty good day out there. Still have a number of drops across the board. from the Packer receivers and tight ends, something not great. Musgrave had another couple of nice plays today. Dobbs had a nice play today. So that's some of what stood out. The Jordan Love 7-on-7s didn't go well. He didn't look well. The offense didn't look well with Jordan Love, and they lost to the opposing defense. The Packers offense with Malik Willis also didn't score. So same old, same old. I would say for the most part, I'm guessing when Andy Herman comes on, he's probably going to say this was not a great day for the Packers offense against the Seahawks defense.
Probably not, which is kind of been a theme so far this preseason.
Old training camp.
It's a little unfortunate to hear that again. And the Seahawks, like we heard from Corbin Smith yesterday, are a team that has playoff aspirations. They're a team that feels like they're good enough to be there. Yep. This is the best team that it feels like you're going up against in the preseason so far, and it needs to be a little bit better than what we're seeing.
Packers defense did okay today. I think they had a couple of pass rushes for the most part. And I don't believe Seahawks scored, if memory serves correct, either in this one. So, yes. Are you saying yes? So the Seahawks offense, I don't think looked all that much better against necessarily the Packers defense. And as we've talked about before, across the NFL right now, offenses are behind defenses. That has been a standard in all training camps. This isn't just a Packers thing. At this point, they're trying to play catch up. The other part of it is when they got to team period, not 7-on-7s, but team period, Jordan Love is on the side and he's watching, right? He's got that left finger injury. So he's still not out there playing. He's in 7-on-7s where, there's no tackle, getting tackle or anything like that. No pass rush per se. Now he's in a position where he can throw it a little bit and didn't throw it all that great. Receivers didn't play all that great in that spot either. The other thing that I'm intrigued by in all of this from today's practice is what will Matt LaFleur do out of this? Because Matt LaFleur pretty much made it known that if we have a joint practice, pretty much not going to play the starters in the next exhibition game. But in this joint practice, there was so much helter-skelter and fights and everything else going on and wasting of time and screwing up rhythm and all that. I just wonder whether or not, like for instance, hey, Zach Todd, want to fight? Cool. You're playing the first half. Elton Jenkins, you want to fight? Cool. You're playing the first half too. Tucker Kraft, you want to fight? Cool. You're going to play the first half. I wonder if he will go down that path of, listen, I'm not going to be putting up with fights. I'm not dealing with this crap. I told y'all I wasn't going to have fights. The question is, do you think fighting is a good or a bad thing in training camp for your favorite team? Do you look at it as a positive or as a negative? I like this question because I think the fans will have an answer. I will have an answer, and the former player will have his own answer in all of this. Nicolay Law Fan Talk, text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. Sound off with a recorded voice message on the Odyssey app as well, Facebook and Twitter at The Fan Milwaukee. What say you, Charlie?
I don't think this is as black and white as a good or a bad thing. I think there's good things that come out of this, and I think there's bad things that come out of this. I think what we're seeing right now, and starting with the bad things that are coming out of this, is that this is just kind of frustration boiling over from this offense for not getting going. I know you say it's the entirety of the NFL where the offenses are getting a slow start to the defenses. But at the same time, I mean, you would think that the Packers one of these days on offense would have a win. And it just feels like it's constantly the defense getting wins. Yep. It's constantly just Brandon McMahon is kicking field goals over and over and over again. That guy's got to have the strongest right leg in the entire NFL at this point, man, because of how many just field goal reports we get from the Green Bay Packers.
Well, they got another guy in there battling him, so he's not doing all of the kicking.
I wouldn't say
himself.
It's battling.
Well, no, but they got somebody to take kicks, give his leg a rest. Yeah.
But still, at the same time, this is something that just kind of feels like the offense needs to get past this hurdle right now, and they are not doing that, and the rest of the players are just getting frustrated with that. On the good side of things, this is the intensity we were looking for from this Packers team, man. Matt LaFleur, I'm sure, recognizes that yes, this may be a problem for just what overall the offense has done this preseason. At the same time, man, you want to see the offensive line be mean. You wanted to see the running backs run hard. And I think we're starting to see that more and more because that's the identity of this offense. We're starting to see the identity of the offense come out. We just need to start seeing the results come with that identity.
I want to know more from Andy Herman about what happened and what started this fight. That's what I'd like to know. And I don't know if he's going to have that answer or not, but that's what I would like to know. Like, Was there trash talking going on from the Packers side that started it? Because it seems like it started because of the Seattle defense. The Packers defense wasn't on the field that got the fight started when it all went down. It feels like the Packers offense was the one that was on the field fighting with the Seattle defense, right? So you're talking about looking for identity and so forth. This Packers offense may be like, you're not punking us, man. You want to go? Let's go. We're not going to sit here and get pushed around up front. And Tucker Kraft, obviously one of those guys like the offensive line that are up there. Tucker Kraft's another guy I don't think I want to get punched by.
No, he seems like a crazy man, dude. Everything I've heard from him, all the interviews, he seems like somebody that just loves putting people's head in the dirt.
Right. Absolutely. And see, that's the other part about it. So to answer this question, to me, good or a bad thing for your favorite team, Packers, right? Colts, whatever, to have fights in training camp practice. Yeah, I'm good. I got no problem with it. Now, I don't want any long-term injuries out of it. I don't want broken arms, broken hands, whatever. I don't want any of that. But we're just going to push and shove and slap each other's helmet or whatever. Have at it. Do your thing, right? Get yourself all worked up and stick up for your teammates, right? Don't be a me guy. Go stick up for your teammates. Like Charlie said, DB and a wide receiver get into it, and the big offensive lineman go, I'll help. Get some oxygen first, though. Thanks. All right, I'll shove this guy, and away we go, right? That's kind of what
exactly.
it is.
Yeah, you're like, oh, darn it, or finally somebody got it going. Right. Let's go.
So that's kind of where it is. But that's sticking up for your teammates. I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a bad thing. I know why coaches don't like it, because it disrupts any type of rhythm of a practice. Now you got to stop, separate everybody, and then try to start practice up again. It makes everything longer. So I get why coaches don't like it. But I think from a teammate perspective, I think it's actually okay. I think it bonds guys maybe a little bit too.
Definitely. I think it's something that a lot of your teammates look at you and view you as a leader then, if you're the one sticking up for your teammates on the field. And Zach Tom is a guy who just got a big contract. Elkin Jenkins is looking for that big contract extension, or at least a big contract from another team in the future here. They both have to prove themselves as leader on this team.
Let's say there's a fight. 4 of the 5 offensive linemen go running over. One dude sits back, is like, Doug, I ain't fighting, man. I'm good.
Offensive line coach will replay that. We talked about yesterday how the coaches will look and see the guys that are doing other stuff besides that are away from the play, picking up their teammates, going and making a block that's unnecessary. Coaches will notice that too, and they'll be like, hey, Jimmy, why are you still standing back there? Why are you looking at your feet while everybody else is over here picking up their quarterbacks or pushing over the other guys? Yeah, you don't want to see a fight, but you should be in there, dude.
See, that's funny because when I said that, Charlie's face just completely turned in like horror, like I'm going to kill that guy who did that.
That's what happens. That's what it feels like. You noticed that.
Yes, no question about it. Coming up next, Bill Bender, Sporting News senior writer. Straight ahead, it's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the 1250 AM 105.7 FM, the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We'll talk Badgers, Big Ten, and these crazy cockamamie ideas the Big Ten has for a playoff for their conference. And people are talking about expanding the playoffs, doubling the size of the playoffs, all that and more with Bill Bender. Straight ahead here on the Fan. Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Brewers up 2-0. Cubs, couple of runners on base. Nobody out in the bottom of 5 at Wrigley. Joey Ortiz leaves the game for the Brewers. Looks like he pulled up running to first base. So, and the one thing they cannot afford is to have that dude be out with a hamstring injury or something like that, because the amount of defense given up at shortstop is, well, it will range-wise, it will affect them, because having Terang at short, obviously I think you can cover that. But the amount of range you would lose at second base then by moving Terang to short would be astronomical, because nobody has the range of Terang at second base right now. So to go through that would be a big issue for this Brewers defense going forward. So we'll see what happens. But 2-0 on a Terang 2-run homer earlier in the game in the 5th inning. Joining us now on the FanGuest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law, our guy Bill Bender from the Sporting News, senior writer over there. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Bill Bender, who is a Packers fan. Did you see the gigantic brawls that happened at Packers-Seahawks practice today?
I haven't seen them yet. I've kind of had my head down working on a college football project. Nobody's hurt, right? That's always my question after a preseason thing.
Nobody's hurt. It appears it involved Tucker Kraft and Zach Tom at the beginning. Then Elton Jenkins got involved. Then Tom and Jenkins got sat. They put the rookie Belton in, and then he started throwing punches. It was rather large. Kay Adams on Twitter said it was the largest training camp fight ever. So, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, at least they're warmed up for these final couple preseason games. I watched some of the Colts game. It was a little, I'm going to confess, maybe not every play of that game. Watched the first game, obviously, and then we're going from there as we get into college football these next couple weeks. As you know, that's where most of my attention is. I try to get the Packers as much as I can.
Well, I appreciate it. And I got you on to talk college football, Big Ten, Badgers. I have said, and we have Badger guests on all the time, obviously, and anytime a season starts, you want to try and find some way of being optimistic that your team might be better than what people are saying or whatever. I can't get myself there, man. They've got the toughest schedule in college football, I think, the Wisconsin Badgers do this year. They don't have the most talent in the whole wide world. I look at this team and think 4-5 wins maybe. Like, I don't see how they get to bowl eligibility.
It's going to be hard with that November. I don't know who made that schedule. To Luke Fickell's credit, he knew this was coming, I think, in some ways with the schedule. He talked about the schedule. And, when you step out and play non-con games like Alabama, I think that's good for the sport. It can be bad for – I'm wondering, now that we're talking about it, because the Big Ten schedules are in balance a little more than the SEC schedules because there are more teams. I hope that makes sense. It makes it harder to step out in some ways.
I think, and it'll be interesting to see how this all goes, because the Cignetti down in Indiana was talking about how the SEC doesn't schedule anybody in their non-conference. And they pay a bunch of nobodies, and we should all schedule like the SEC. And then he made a comment the other day that, hey, here you go. We're scheduling like the SEC now. And Brett McMurphy was all like, oh, that's garbage, and he listed all of the bad teams that Indiana scheduled, but he missed Cignetti's point that Cignetti had been preaching the whole offseason, which was a lot of these guys don't play anybody in the offseason. They just rely on the strength of their conference schedule, and that's kind of how Cignetti apparently decided he's going to approach it with Indiana. Is there a right way to do this? Because back in the day when Brett Bielema was here, me and him got into a screaming match on the radio about his non-conference schedule being crap, and him trying to defend it because it used to just drive me nuts. Which way would you do it if you were running a college football program in the Big Ten or the SEC?
I can tell you. So Wisconsin, by the way, that was the old, and I'm a MAC grad. Wisconsin just slaughters MAC schools. They did it for years. It was brutal watching them beat, teams by like 60 when they were doing that. I would do it this way. I would have the 9 conference games. I actually think the Big Ten should go to 10 conference games now. I really do. I think then you play one group of 5 school. If you want to play another Power 4 school, beef up your schedule. If you think that maybe, hey, yeah, I don't begrudge Cignetti. He explained it to us this way last year, that kind of scheduling to go to a bowl game last year. And that is Indiana, right?
Yep.
So I don't think anybody expected them to do what they did. Granted, the schedule was imbalanced, but I was telling people last year, had Michigan had some quarterback play, they would have beat Indiana. They would have won that game. But that's neither here nor there. So to answer your question, 9 conference games. If we're going to play 12, I'll do 2 group of 5 schools, but I'm going to step out and play at least 1 Power 4 school in non-conference play. I think you should.
He is Bill Bender. Follow him at the Sporting News, senior writer over there. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92 on Twitter. How top-heavy is the Big Ten expected to be this year?
Well, there's tiers. So Wisconsin right now would be in that 3rd tier. The 2nd tier to me is, as you work your way up, it's probably Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, maybe Nebraska, maybe USC, maybe Iowa, depending on the quarterback. That first tier is pretty solid. Like, who's going to break in and beat Ohio State? Who's going to break in and beat Penn State with everything they have coming back? I don't think we've talked about Oregon a lot, and they won the conference last year. At least I haven't, if I was doing a pie chart. Dante Moore's an interesting find for them, and we'll see how they do. But I do think that's your first tier, and there's some intrigue with Illinois, Indiana, Michigan for me. Illinois is getting a lot. Like, they're not this year. We can't call them this year's Indiana, have them ranked like 12 or 13, right? Because we're actually seeing that coming a little bit.
You know, the other thing about this, when we talk about the Big Ten and what the future holds, they are talking about wanting to do a championship game for the conference, 1 versus 2. Okay, that's fine. No big deal. But then they're talking about having and both of those would be automatic qualifiers. Then a 3-6 matchup, that would be, the winner of that would be an automatic qualifier. And then a 4-5 matchup with the winner of that being an automatic qualifier. And that's how they get to 4. That seems bananas to me.
I can't picture, and again, as you know, I grew up in Central Ohio here. I can't picture the loser of the Ohio State-Michigan game where their mindset would be going to play like a 4-5 game the next week.
They wouldn't be. No. They wouldn't be. No.
Right.
No, it wouldn't be. It would be the conference championship game would played. No matter what happens, they both are qualified and their season's done. 3-6 play, the winner of that, their season is done and they're qualified for the playoffs. 4-5 plays, the winner of that qualifies for the playoffs and their season is done. It's not a bracket style. It's 3 individual games with the 1 and 2 seeds make it automatically. The winner of 3-6 goes and the winner of 4-5 goes.
No, I'm saying like after the regular season game. So so I just don't, what are we doing these rivalries for? I'm not into that format anyway. And I'm not into the 24 team.
That's the next thing. Yep.
32. I mean, what's 48? What are we going to do next? I just think I've kind of been consistent. I just for a different story. I was talking to Steve Spurrier this afternoon and he said it best, right? He said 16 teams, or you can go from 12 to 16. You can use the conference champions because you have to have some value in a conference championship. And I think you should play the first 2 rounds on campus. And if we're going to do this sport the way we're going to do it, let's perfect the playoff. Let's not, 28 teams, how confusing would that be?
Yeah, but this is my thing. For all of you college football guys that want to complain about, oh boy, we can't have 24. Oh boy, we can't have 28. Where's everybody complaining about the NCAA basketball tournament where there's like 100 teams playing in this thing? The other, Mason Crosby does a show on this station. And I heard Mason Crosby earlier this week go, man, by the time we even got to the college football national championship, I was done with it. The playoff took too long. But the NCAA tournament goes a month. Nobody complains about that. To me, it doesn't seem any different.
Well, what would you be can I ask what your that would be like if you were like, if you were the college football commissioner? So I'll do that. If you were that,
you don't want to hear what I want because I liked it the way it was. Give me a computer program, top 2 teams that the computer spits out, they play for the national championship, and let's go. That's what I wanted. I wanted all of the people out of it. I don't like committees. I don't like human interaction. None of that. Put together a computer program. Tell everybody what the computer program is using to judge who the top teams are. Top 2 teams picked by the computer program, play for the national championship, and we're done. That's what I would like.
Well, you know what? You're fine. I was a guy that loved the BCS because I always told people part of me, okay, I'm okay with all the changes they've made in college football. I'm not that guy. But when we did the BCS, I always point out to people that hated it. I said, okay, so how many years did they get it wrong?
Correct.
You know, what year did you like hate the title game so much? And if you're a Auburn fan, you could say there was a year there. Or if you're like a Boise or a TCU fan, you could say they never opened it up for us. But I loved something of college football that I love that's different than the NFL, and I love both sports, was I always love that feeling of pressure in November. 8-0, 8-0, 7-1. You've got to win this game. Now, I mean, we live in a world literally where, you know, if you'd have told me when we were on the show last year, hey, Ohio State's going to lose to Michigan and maybe the worst loss in program history. And I'm not like understating that. They're going to turn around and win a national title in the same season. If you would have told 16-year-old me that, I'd been like, what planet are you on right now?
Absolutely. And that's the crazy part about where we are right now. And I saw another piece where it's kind of become like the National Football League as far as getting free agents, bringing guys in. I mean, Belichick has 72 new players in North Carolina at this point in one offseason. Deion did it in Colorado the same way. Wisconsin's not going to do it that way, but Wisconsin's relying on their quarterback to be a transfer portal quarterback every year. And that's went up in flames for 2 years running, going on 3 now.
Right. And well, I was down in Morgantown a couple weeks ago with Rich Rod, and he's back, and they had 74 transfers.
Good
74.
God.
And he was, and I'm not saying this like on a Rich Rod in any way, but he was literally getting questions and like trying to figure out, I'm not 100% sure who that guy is. You know what I mean? Like, that's how many are in where, you know, we know, you know, I'm not saying he didn't know who the guy was, but he probably doesn't know too much about some of these guys as a player. And Belichick, same way. I'm super intrigued by the whole Belichick thing. I really am, for that Monday night game against TCU. I have no idea how it's going to work. I have no idea what offense they're going to run. I think they're going to try to do it like a pro team. And I do know if they beat TCU, that will be the storylines in week 1. That could be the dominant one.
Oh, for sure it will be. Yeah, no question. I think Belichick will be the dominant storyline all year, regardless of what is going on. It's going to be like Deion all over again, where everybody's going to want to talk about that one program with that star headlining coach, I think, going forward. Who are your 2 best teams in college football in your mind going into the year to wrap this up?
They're playing each other here in Columbus. I think Texas and Ohio State, I think they'll figure it out. Both teams did lose a lot of talent to the NFL. To me, and as somebody that watched the Big Ten, I mean, I got to see Penn State beat Ohio State before I can go any further there. And then Texas, I'm a believer in Arch. I'm not so sure we won't see if he stays 2 years. We'll get more out of him next year. Georgia, we're not talking about enough, though. They're probably the least talked about SEC champions of all time. And Kirby's probably telling that in the locker room every single day. Yeah, and I'll leave you with a quick confession. I did watch the first couple episodes of that Cowboys Netflix special.
Oh, no.
I think I have to skip over the next couple of years, though. We're on the years where they were bad. I think there's this portion that all Packers fans know.
Yep.
Like, I don't think I can watch those episodes. Sorry.
Yeah, the 90s were bad. I just can't. I don't want to relive that again. Bill Bender, Sporting News, senior writer. Follow him on Twitter at BillBender92. Always love having him on. Bill, thanks so much, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, anytime. Thanks for having me. Take care.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Bill Bender on the Fan Guest Hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call. That's all. I would love to go back to computer program, 2 teams, national championship. Everybody else playing your bowl games. Rose Bowl still Big Ten, Pac-10, all that. Pac-10's completely imploded. I got a bunch of weak teams now all making that thing up. But that those days are all gone. Like I said the other day, those of you that want tradition and want all this stuff, that's all done, man. It's all done. The sports do not care about tradition any longer. And now I just saw a thing from the PGA Tour. Tiger Woods is a part of some competition committee where they're going to overhaul the whole PGA Tour and change everything to make it better for the fans, better for the golfers, and they're going to overhaul the whole thing, they said.
All right, good luck with that. I mean, all this stuff, you can overhaul everything, do whatever you want here. But honestly, a lot of these things don't make that big of a difference in the grand scheme of things. And yeah, you want to say it's better for the fans. Is it really ever going to be better for the fans than when the fans are just currently happy as is? Why do you have to keep changing things that aren't broken?
Yep, I agree with you. Coming up on the other side, we're going to hear from Andy Herman from the Pack a Day Radio Show, weekday mornings 8 to 9. He was at training camp today between the Packers and Seahawks. He saw all the fights breaking out. We'll get his thoughts straight ahead. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Fan Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, where you can have your fantasy football draft right there on the second level of that 6,500 square foot sportsbook space that they have. This is how it works. You get a smorgasbord of food. Each team gets each player in the fantasy football league, you each get 3 drink tickets. Up to 14 teams are allowed in the fantasy football draft to have it at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. You get a podium to announce your picks. You get poster. You get stickers for all the teams, the names, all of that stuff right there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. There's no guarantee they're ever doing this again. So I look at it as like this may be once in a lifetime to have a fantasy football draft with all your guys and the league at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, looking at a 2,000 square foot, screen with all the different games and stuff on it. Man, don't miss this opportunity. There's a fee that goes along with each team that it's in the league that they have to pay because they got to cover the drinks, the food, all that. So go online right now and find out more. Go to Potawatomi.com/sportsbook, Potawatomi.com/sportsbook. Andy Herman next.